Hi, I'm Natasha, and I'm a master life transformation coach. And I have been online coaching for the past 7 years. And I specialize in narcissistic abuse relationships. And the reason why I do is because I've seen the destruction that narcissists leave in their wake. And there's no real resources for people that are victims of narcissistic abuse. And it leaves a person reeling. And the truth is, if we were able to stand up to the narcissist, we would have a completely different world. And that is my aim, is to change the world we live in so that everybody can be free to share and uplift each other rather than be in a competitive space where everyone's pushing each other down. So I thought I'd make this video just to explain to you how the coaching works and what you can expect afterwards. Because I don't want you to feel like you've gone through years of therapy only to find out that it helped a little bit, and at the end it maybe gave you a couple of tools, but you feel like you're right back where you started. My aim is to help you heal from the inside so that you don't keep recreating the same trauma. Because you've probably discovered that even if you manage to leave the narcissist, you find yourself back in another relationship with another one. With a different name, different face, but same thing. And not only that, but it's incredibly painful going through that trauma bond, to break the trauma bond, find yourself again, only to repeat it again. So I've made a very simple little diagram. Please bear with me. I am a good coach, but I'm not really good at drawing. So I've just made simple stick figures, and I hope that you can understand how it works. So I'm just going to switch my screen over. I'm here to help you take your life back, to heal from anxiety, low self-worth, and the emotional abuse that you've been suffering from in the easiest and quickest way possible. Most of my clients have come to me because they've been in therapy for many years and they are still struggling with certain aspects, and they've been having antidepressant drugs. So my aim is to take away those years of therapy and medication and get you up and running as quickly as possible so that you can go and live that life that you came to live. And that doesn't mean the work isn't effective. It just means that it is so powerful that it works instantly. You don't need to go for years of therapy. So let me show you in this video how we are going to fix your problem and exactly how the process works. This is a person. And when you're a baby, your subconscious mind is very active and your conscious mind is not really developed. So things like sight, taste, touch, smell, sound, all those senses are not really fully developed. They have an energy imprint, they have a feeling. But what's also not fully developed is your conscious mind. So this top part of the person's head is where your conscious mind is. It's your prefrontal cortex, and it governs 5 to 10% of your body. The subconscious mind covers 90 to 95% of the body. Now, why is that interesting? Because your subconscious mind is the part of you that is actually running the show. So it governs your heart rate, it governs your breathing, your autonomic nervous system, all those things that you're not even aware of. And that's why they say it's 90 to 95%, because you're not even aware of it half the time. But what it also does is it stores all the memories of things that have happened in the past, and it doesn't store them in the form of thoughts. It doesn't have verbal language. It has a feeling language, an emotional language. And often what happens when you have emotions about something, you don't understand why you have them. You react to them thinking that by indulging those emotions, they will go away. The problem is they don't go away. They just get reaffirmed. So the more you think of a negative emotion, the stronger it becomes in your body and the more it starts acting out. So what happens when you are growing up in a family? Let's just go back to this picture, where maybe there's a lot of arguing happening in the family. There's a lot of anger, a lot of shouting, and you didn't feel safe. You didn't feel like you were loved. Maybe you didn't feel like you belonged. Whichever it was, it might have been one or all of them. It made you feel a certain way, and that feeling gets lodged in the body, and you never feel safe. But what happens is your body, we'll go back to this drawing, what happens is your body stores that feeling and it gets pushed down. So it's kind of like the iceberg effect. And that is the way you walk through life, feeling like you're not safe, you're not validated. There's a lot of angry people and you need to protect yourself. And so you'll end up finding relationships that are going to represent that feeling because that is what's familiar. So let's say that you're aware that you're in these relationships, and these relationships have got a very low vibrational frequency. So I'll explain the frequency shortly. But 0 hertz obviously means you'd be dead. There's no activity. The higher up you go, the higher the frequency, the better you feel. So a 50 hertz is very low. 50 hertz is the vibration of anger. So let's say your body has this vibration of anger that it is stored in the body and it feels comfortable. But your conscious mind wants better. Your conscious mind says, I deserve better. I know who I am. I know that I have value. Now, if you understand that your conscious mind is only 5 to 10%, who do you think is going to win? The body or the mind? And what happens is when you are in conflict between the mind and the body, you are experiencing conflict in your life. And this is what happens. This is why a lot of people struggle, because they're struggling with guilt and shame, and they don't want to abandon the narcissist. They want to be loyal, but at the same time, they're not being treated the way that they know they deserve to be. So it creates cognitive dissonance. So now what happens is, because you're vibrating at a certain frequency and your body is electromagnetic, which means that you attract certain situations, people, events, etc., that vibrate at the same frequency as you. So you might say, well, I don't vibrate like a narcissist. No, but you attract the energy that you are comfortable and familiar with, because your subconscious mind doesn't worry about how you feel. The subconscious mind's job is to keep you safe, and it kept you safe by keeping you in situations that you're familiar with. Now, what happens in your home life is, however you experienced your home life growing up before the age of 7, is what you have considered love. It's what your subconscious considers love and safe. And so those are the kind of love relationships you're going to keep experiencing. So you will attract somebody that's vibrating at a frequency of 50 hertz. And as I said before, that's the frequency of anger. Now, here's the beauty of the coaching. What we do is, rather than trying to fix this situation and sort this person out and change that event, which is what you've been trying to do all these years. You've been trying to make yourself a better person mentally and say, I don't want to have this, I don't want to have this. And all you've done is been putting out fires the whole time. What you want to do is change your frequency, change the inside, the subconscious part of you, which is vibrating at 50 hertz, and raise the frequency. And as soon as you get to 200 hertz, you're actually, I'll show you on the chart now, but you're actually at a point where you're able to transcend the narcissistic abuse, because that's the part where you've gone past it. You're out of the game. You're out of the rat race, as I call it. And then what happens is you will start attracting events, situations, people, and opportunities to you that are vibrating at that frequency. And why I love this work so much is because you are no longer having to worry about trying to fix everything and everyone around you. You just need to fix you. And you start living a totally different life, because you start seeing things you didn't see before, because they're at a higher rate of vibration that you're not able to sense. So let me show you what the chart looks like. So this is a chart that was designed by Dr. David Hawkins, and he calls it power versus force. Now, he was a psychiatrist. He was actually knighted. He's passed away, but his work lives on. And he wrote a book called Letting Go and Power versus Force. There's a lot of books. But what he doesn't do in his books is teach you how to let go. And that's what we do in the transformation coaching, is I teach you how to let go. And it's really powerful stuff that nobody else is offering. I don't want to give you goals. I want to help you heal from the inside, because then you will know from inside out. You already know who you are. You already know what you want. You just want to overcome the guilt and the shame. So let me show you how this chart works. So on the left here, you'll see it says level. And then there's a gray line here which divides these two emotional feelings, right? So at the bottom of the line, you'll see these are all the so-called negative emotions: pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, and so on. And everything above the line, these are your positive emotions where you feel courage, neutrality, willingness. These are, and the higher up you go, the better you feel and the more impact you have on other people. So that's where that 200 hertz comes in, because as soon as you cross this line, you are now in the positive space. And the lowest vibrating frequency at the bottom here is 20 hertz. And we only go up to 1,000 hertz. If you are higher than 1,000 hertz, you'll actually be out of the body. You'll be ether. So the human body has got a certain range, and we operate between the 0 and 1,000 range hertz. So if you are in a space where you're feeling guilt or shame, then the emotion that you would experience would be, let's work with guilt, would be feeling blame, that there's something you did wrong. The process by which you would act it out would be destruction, and it would be self-destruction. And your view of yourself would be evil, and the percent of time that you're happy is 4%. Now, you might experience these different emotions at different times. You might feel love, you might feel reason, you might feel acceptance. But I am talking about the iceberg. As you know, at the top of the iceberg, that's the part that's seen. The part underneath the iceberg is what is unseen. It's what's below the water. And if I go back to this chart, this is what's below the iceberg. This is your normal frequency. So if you're operating at 50 hertz, and that frequency that you're experiencing is a lower frequency, it doesn't matter what you feel. You're going to have good days and bad days, but under the water, it stays calm. Under the water, that's your standard vibrational state, and it's very difficult to access that because, like I said, these are traumatic events that happened before your conscious mind was developed. So you're not able to have a talk to yourself about it because you don't know what to talk to yourself about. So let's go back to the chart. Now you will see here that guilt is at 30 hertz and shame is at 20 hertz. You can't go lower than you'd be dead. However, what is beautiful about this is that the opposite of guilt, if I go to the bottom here, if guilt was operating down here, the opposite of guilt would actually be somewhere over here. It's not the opposite here. It's an inverted pyramid. So if I took this and I did that, that's what the macabre is. That's all we've done is we've split the macabre and we're showing you as above, so below. And that line over here is that gray line that was dividing. Now I want to show you something. This is why I work with empaths and I love them so much. An empath's lowest emotion is normally guilt and shame. They always say, I feel so bad. I feel bad for them. Oh, shame. Shame, that poor person. That's the words they actually use. But the opposite of that is love and reason and unconditional love. So they are able to access this emotion because you're able to do as above, so below. And often when you find yourself in a narcissistic relationship, you're trying to show the narcissist this part of you, your unconditional love, and you're trying to reason with them. Now, the problem is that the narcissist, their most predominant emotions are pride and anger. And sometimes they will allow themselves to go down to desire and wantingness and lust. Now, this is where they see their base needs being met, but they don't like people knowing about it, especially when they are the more higher thinking narcissist. They think they're above that even. What they will not do is go lower. They will not go into fear. They will not go into grief. Any of this, they don't have guilt. That's why they don't have remorse. They push it away from themselves. They deny it in themselves, and they say, you're the one who should be guilty. And because of that, the highest they can go is into neutrality and courage. So if I go back to the chart, if the narcissist is over here, the highest they can go is here. They cannot feel love. They cannot access it. They can't access love. They can't access reason. They can't access joy. They don't even know what that feels like. And as you know, the way a tree works, the lower the roots of the tree go, the higher the tree can grow. So the lower you can go into yourself, the higher you can access those parts of you that you're looking for. And that is why I say what we're looking for as empaths is joy, peace, and enlightenment. These are things that we are trying to attain, and we're trying to attain those at all times. And the reason we can't attain them is because we're finding ourselves trapped in this cycle. Now, as a question, if a narcissist sees themselves here at the top of the so-called pyramid, and it's an inverted pyramid, and you'll find that when you're in a narcissistic relationship, everything is inverted in any case. Who is at the top and who is at the bottom? You are aware that you can access these higher feelings of love and reason and unconditional love. You're trying to show them that, but every time you encounter them, they push you back down and they see you as this miserable, hopeless person. Why on earth would they want to have what you have? And the reason why you don't want to fix that person is because the highest you can go with that person is over here. They're not able to go higher until they're willing to go lower. And so what we do in the coaching, what I help you to do, is we go through and we heal these emotions. From the bottom, we take out the roots of the weeds and we pull them out. And as we pull them out, you start to have space for the flowers to grow. So as you start to heal these wounded aspects of yourself, where you experienced traumas as a child, where you start to realize that just because it happened to you, it doesn't define you. And then you're able to not be overlaid with this emotion and be free to be experiencing those things, because actually this is your birthright. You know underneath it that this is who you fundamentally are. And the reason why you can't access it is not because that other person isn't treating you well. It's because you've got all these emotional states and belief systems that are keeping you from accessing it. It's like a dirty lens overlaying your life. So what I do in the coaching is I actually take a measurement of your hertz, of your frequency, before we start. So if you book an introductory call with me, then I will be able to tell you what your frequency is. And throughout the coaching, as you start clearing, you start lifting up your vibrational frequency. It's not rah-rah, it's based on kinesiology, it's based on principles that actually work, and I'll prove it to you when we do the call if you want to know. But when you start raising that frequency, you start seeing new things, new opportunities that happen, and you'll stop attracting that narcissist. So it'll be out of your life completely. And by healing those core traumas that happened in your childhood, they're no longer overlaying the new thoughts that you make, the new decisions that you make. You're no longer hampered and feeling blocked and doomed to be repeating the same behaviors again. Because once you're over 200 hertz, you're going to be invisible to the narcissist. They're not going to be able to see you. So you won't be attracting them anymore. And initially it will be a bit tentative, but as you get better, you'll get better at it. So if you're keen, book a call with me. It's absolutely free. It's no obligation. But I'd like to show you how you can change yourself so that you can stop trying to fix the world. And you can come from that place that you knew you were authentically meant to be living. I look forward to hearing from you.